Hey everybody, it is July 14th, 2009. I'm Sonic Sons, and I'm here to talk about an issue which has divided a lot of people and caused a lot of fuss and such. But all sorts of issues have, I suppose. Including many that, after several years, we come back and say, wow, obviously this side of the issue was right. What were the other people even thinking? Question, of course, being which side turns out to be right, etc., etc. The issue I'm talking of, in case you can't read the presumably title I've put already above my head, is homosexuality. And what that is, and whether that's right or wrong, and what contexts, etc., etc., etc. So first, for a while, hardly anyone was even aware that there were homosexuals out there. Or if they're out there, they're clearly very much marginalized. There's some, people knew they existed, but, practically everything homosexual was either illegal or, at least just full of people not liking you. Ostracism, I suppose you would say. Or causing of ostracism, etc. Now, that's not true all the way back to antiquity. There have been numerous cultures that have allowed homosexuality to some degree or another. You may be surprised that the Spartans, ancient Spartans, great warriors and so forth, were actually expected to be homosexual with their fellow soldiers. The notion was that they would fight harder for people who were not only fellow soldiers and not only friends, but furthermore lovers. And this was Sparta, which if you've seen the movie 300 is crazy manliness, and apparently they're kind of gay at the same time. A number of cultures throughout history have accepted all sorts of varying beliefs, such as sex in general. But recently, I don't know exactly when it turned around, but for a while in America anyway, there's been a thing of, don't be gay. Just don't. It's wrong. And now, so we're coming to this notion of, hey, maybe it's not wrong, sort of thing. What exactly was wrong about it again? It's unnatural, they say. What exactly do we mean by that? We can't redefine marriage. Yes, but that was what Huckabee was saying on The Daily Show a while back. He came up and did an interview and gave what I thought to be just a really poor argument for why people shouldn't be gay married. We can't redefine marriage, he says. Why not? I'm pretty sure we defined it in the first place. Did it come out of the sky? Some humans got together like, hey, how about we do this thing called marriage? And then you're devoted to one person for, until death do you part and all that. And a lot of gay people want to do just the same thing. They want exactly the same rights as regular, straight, married people. Why can't they have that? Well, we can't redefine marriage. You realize we redefined marriage before, right? Like, it used to be defined that a white person and a black person could not get married. That was the freaking law. And also full of ostracism. I don't think full of ostracism is really a phrase. It is now. And then we thought, you know what? I'm pretty sure black people are people too. And if a black person marries a white person, does this mean that somehow the marriage is going to be bad somehow? Here's a trick. A little trick in that. Particularly when, a few decades ago, people are more racist. The racism still exists to this day. But particularly a few decades ago, when a black guy marries a white girl, or a white guy marries a black girl, whatever, there's going to be tension. Not because there's anything wrong with, interracial marriages, but because many people think there's something wrong with interracial marriages. That is to say, everyone will hate you when everyone's being racist, right? I think that maybe even a particular thing against interracial marriages, You think like, well, at least half of the marriage is white, so that should be okay, right? No, because if an interracial marriage, there's a white person who's realized that a black person is eminently lovable, and racist people don't want to admit that. I could, I'm white and I could love a black person could causes incredible cognitive dissonance, and they go, no, you can't do that. There's no way we could. Has to be wrong somehow. That marriage would fall apart. And as I was just saying a moment ago, there would be tension, not because the marriage is itself bad, but because people think it's bad, and they think it's bad. They would cause the tension, which eventually might make things worse or make things difficult somehow. And then we'll have a little circular logic where we look at that difficulty and we say, aha, clearly marriage that way doesn't work. The reason it doesn't work is because you're all being jerks about it. Give it a little time. It turns out it actually can work, or it might not work. I mean, any marriage. Interracial, or within the race, or homosexual, or heterosexual, or anything at all, might or might not work, depending on all sorts of things. Go talk to all the various people of the world. Some of them get divorced, and some of them don't, and some of them... all sorts of nonsense there. We can't redefine marriage, we're told. We redefined it before. What is this definition of marriage? You do realize that in the dictionary, I mean, there's no the dictionary, but in some dictionaries, it already has marriage, and definition 3 or whatever will be a union between, couples or two people of the same gender in a way similar to traditional marriage. Like, go open your dictionary. There's a pretty good chance you'll find that definition. Look at that! We redefined it! Oh my gosh! There's a notion that the traditional family is sort of, the bedrock of our civilization. And that if we screw with that, we screw with everything. Well, maybe not. Maybe, something closer to the actual bedrock would be like the love within a traditional family. Because if you just have a traditional family but no one cares for each other, that would really just screw everything over, right? This is why we eventually start allowing divorce, because sometimes when two people hate each other, there's no point in keeping them together to pretend like it's traditional marriage, it must be good. Like, no, apparently not. And then people end up getting divorced, which is too bad. It'd be nice if people could get along more, or marry the right person in the first place, or however that works. But we can't mess with marriage, though. No, we can't. It's so funny, though. We're allowed to have divorces. But gay marriage? Whoa! Like, these people, like if they were just asking for gay divorce somehow and not gay marriage, which I don't know how you would do that. Like, okay, then maybe I could kind of see what you're saying or something, but they want to get married, they want to, two people want to be together and be devoted to each other and love each other and so forth. Conservatives... and right-wingers, or, whatever you call them, they're uncomfortable with that notion. They're stuck in the notion, okay, well, homosexuality must be bad, and so anything that is, any action which is explicitly homosexual must be bad. Except when it's not. Like, there was a report, I forget the name of it, but it was a groundbreaking report over in Great Britain. And they got, like, psychologists sort of together and to see whether homosexuality counted as a mental disease. And they ran all the numbers and whatever, and eventually were like, turns out, no. Because a lot of times, like, homosexuality itself is the only problem with the person. It's not, like, linked to anything else which is definitively bad. Like, oh, a homosexual and he's also a murderer or something. If every homosexual was a murderer, we might say, gee, maybe there's something wrong with homosexuality. But guess what? Turns out they're regular people. Some people don't want to admit that.